Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hey guys, this is Ernest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $eJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you guys listen, like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Don't keep it to yourself, but share with someone else. Let them know that we're here delivering good content and inspirational, uplifting content to help you through your issues, whatever your day-to-day is. We definitely try to get up our YouTube numbers, so definitely check us out on YouTube. Also, check out our partner podcast that we've started recently, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where myself have conversations with other girl dads and even daughters talking about the relationship between the dad and the daughter, which I believe is one of the most important relationships that we can have, the father and daughter relationship. So make sure that you guys are checking that out also. Also, I'm going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode in order to get that information. So make sure you guys hang out with us to the end, which I know you will, because we always delivering good content, and so you guys want to check us out. So good. Today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Fletcher. How you doing?
What's going on, everybody? What's happening? I'm glad to be here.
Man, first of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could be doing anything else, but you took out the time to be here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And I want you to know that up front. So thank you very much for being here.
Man, no problem. Glad you reached out.
Yeah, no problem. So do me a favor introduce yourself to my listeners and let us know exactly who you are and what it is that you do.
Man, I would be glad to. So my name is Fletcher Cleaves. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. All my Memphis listeners, I hope y'all out there, Mid-South stand up. You know how it is. But growing up, I was the epitome of boys will be boys, just getting into trouble, breaking windows. Not any real trouble, just regular boy stuff. Ding dong ditching and staying out past curfew and that type of stuff. But my family wanted me to use that energy to something more positive. So they put me in organized team sports. So I was in everything you could think of. Like if it was a team sport, I played it. So Flesh don't have no free time year round. And then I fell in love with the game of football about seventh and eighth grade when I was kind of an undersized athlete. Ninth grade, I went to my high school, went to try for the football team. And, everybody was like, Fletch, you kind of undersized. You sure you want to play football? You don't want to stick to baseball? And I was like, no, I kind of fell in love with football. And then I balled out my ninth grade year, did extremely well. And then I kind of realized, like, I'm kind of better than everybody else. Like, okay, right, I'm feeling good. And long story short, I played 10th, 11th, and 12th, and I ended up getting a full football scholarship to an institution here in Tennessee, small college. And I kind of worked my way and got my body in shape. I graduated high school May of 2009. I left 2 days after high school graduation to go to my college and training because I didn't want to be just hanging around all summer and getting into trouble and going to pool parties. And ain't no good coming from nobody who ain't got nothing to do. So I did all that stuff. So I went, in rest of May, June, July, August. I ended up gaining about 25 pounds of muscle, working out twice a day, and things looking up. I got named starter in the rotation for my upcoming collegiate game against Georgia State. I'm feeling good. Freshman, I'm in class. School just started. I'm in class about a week or two. But unfortunately, on September 10th, 2009, my roommate and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the first NFL game. It was crowded. We got the wings to go. Unfortunately, on the way back to the dorm, my lady was texting and driving, ran us off the road, caused us to flip into a ditch, and I broke my neck and was paralyzed. I broke my neck in two places and was paralyzed immediately. And, my football career was over instantly. But it put me on a different trajectory, a different path, and it allowed me to do the things I'm doing today.
All right. And so I know I told you off air, I spent like the last hour watching your videos, right,
Yes,
on your YouTube channel. And two things. First of all, just to you, and I know I mentioned before we started recording, I'm proud of you, you know what I'm saying, to be doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
I'm proud of you to have the mindset to keep pushing, and if I can, if I could compare you to someone who you remind me of, it would be the great Inky Johnson. And I don't know if you even heard that before. You probably heard that before.
I've been in contact with Ink before on social media. We've never met, but he knows. I believe he knows who I am. But I don't know if you remember actually talking to me. But people tell me that all the time. Like, man, have you ever met Inky? You ever met Inky? I'm like, never met him, but I've been in contact with him before in the past.
Yeah. And so similar story, not necessarily similar, but close enough, but even having that same mindset as he did to keep pushing and to use your story to bring enlightenment, and hope to other people. You know what I'm saying? To
Absolutely.
even in this speaking space as we both share, I think that's amazing, and I'm proud of you for that. But one of the things I got out of watching your videos, right? So I'm gonna go back a little in my background. So I remember at my earliest, I probably was like maybe 10 or 12, something like that. I remember one of my mom's friends, whose first name is James. My last name is James, but his first name is James. I don't even know what his last name was, but I remember his name was
Mr.
James.
James, yeah.
Mr. James, and he was in a wheelchair. And I remember us, interacting with him. And years later, one of my other friends that grew up with us in church, their family, but their father, I don't remember if he was in an accident. I don't remember exactly what happened to him. But I do remember as a result of whatever happened, he was in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down. And I remember, watching his sons, who was a little older than I was, take care of him and help him out. And then even in my own life, I have a love for helping people. The last 10, not quite 10, but almost 10 years, I would say about 7 or 8 years, I've been a health aide healthcare aide, whatever the name they want to
Oh
give us.
wow, okay,
And I've been one of the main caregivers for two twin brothers who are both in wheelchairs. And
okay.
so say all that to say, in watching your videos, one of the things I definitely have to give a huge shout out to your support system, because
Man, I
I'm
can't do it without him. I couldn't do it without him.
man, I'm just watching some of the stuff that you've done and how they take
Uh-huh.
care of you and look out for
Yeah,
you. And I'm
because
like,
you know what it takes. You know what
yeah,
it takes. You've been living in this or working in this area, so a lot of people don't
yeah,
understand. It was like, Fletch, how are you able to do all these things? I'm like, what y'all don't see behind that camera is about 15 people that's with me. It's a
mhm,
whole team and support system, and I know every last one of them. I take a bullet for any of them, from cousins to friends to childhood friends to old teammates to family members. Man, anybody. Hey, I need somebody to go with me to Paris. What time we leaving, Fletch? Hey, who
right.
trying to go to Dubai? I can't go by myself, but I've always wanted to go. Man, all right, Fletch, come on, let's go.
Yeah, yeah, and I was just amazed with that. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing, to have that support system that you have. So I'm definitely, wanting to give them a shout out, as well as you, because I'm like, I know, like you said, you wouldn't be able to do all the things that you do without having that support system.
Absolutely. Shout out to them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit, because I know you mentioned about um the whole thing, how you ended up in this position with someone, you
Mhm.
know, texting and driving or on a phone, however it was, which led you to go to talk to schools, high school kids, and things like that.
Mhm.
Definitely about distracted driving, which is it goes way more than high school kids, because I know
Mhm.
adults that still try to do it.
Well, absolutely.
Uh,
See, the tricky part is teenagers have been texting longer than been driving, right? They just started
right,
driving at 16, but they've had a cell phone since the second grade. But
right,
on the flip side of that coin, adults have been driving longer, they've been texting. I'm pretty sure when you start driving at 15, 16, I don't know how old you are, but I'm pretty sure technology wasn't the same as it is now.
no,
It might had a car phone, wasn't no texting. It might had a big phone with the backpack. My dad used to tell me all those, there wasn't no Texas, so you had no choice but to pay attention. So each realm of each generation think they can do it. Hey, boy, I've been driving longer you've been alive. I know what I'm doing. And kids, man, I've been texting since the third grade. I know what I'm doing. But the truth is, the human brain cannot do two cognitive skills effectively at the same time. The term multitasking is a myth. You cannot do two things that require you to think simultaneously. But what you
right,
can do is like the brain and computer, even computers, the term multiprocessing, it doesn't mean is we get the illusion that it's happening simultaneously, but what it's doing is switching between tasks so fast that it gives the illusion that they're happening at the same time. Same thing your brain does. Your brain switches between tasks so fast that oh, I can cook and watch TV. Really? I don't think you can.
yeah, yeah, and it just kind of goes to that decision making process, right? And making decisions that, you know definitely smart decisions, or decisions that in the middle of whatever that you're doing, kind of thinking ahead, that making sure that you're making the best decision that works
Mhm.
out in your best interest, and in the best interest of the people that's around you. And so when you're talking to the kids, even about decision making, because I have my own thing that I talk about, but when you're talking to kids, even about decision making, and making the right decisions, even like checking and driving. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
What are some of the things that you like to point out to them? Outside of what you just said, which is definitely a
Mhm.
something I've heard before, but definitely a nugget of information that I definitely think needs to be shared more.
Mhm.
That even though we do think we can multitask, the truth of the matter is one of those tasks is going to get less brain energy. You know what
Exactly.
I'm
And
saying?
like the multitasking that we used to is like, you may be following a cookbook and listening to the TV, but if you're sitting there saying, all right, 2 cups of eggs, 1 cup of flour. Now what she say? Hold on, rewind it. I missed it. Because you can't, you know what I'm saying? Your brain just can't do two things at once. But to answer your question, the thing that I tell a lot of my audiences, whether it's teenagers or college students or corporate America, the choices you make today will affect your tomorrow. So the choices you make today will affect your tomorrow. And that's how important choices are. Everything you do has an equal and opposite reaction, that we learned in science. So My mother used to tell us all the time, tell me at least, all the time, and I say us because this is the backstory of my childhood. I am my only child, but my auntie, so I call her my auntie, but it's really my older cousin, passed away when I was in the 7th grade. So we took in her 2 kids. So I went from only child to having 2 sisters overnight. So when I say us, that's what I mean. She used to tell us every day, um, the choices you, not the choice you make today, consequences, consequences, consequences. You are who you represent. So it's like you represent your family. So when you go out there, that Cleaves boy, who are his parents. So you are a representation of us, and everything has a consequence. So so understand that every choice you make, whether good or bad, has a consequence. You study, you get an A. That's the consequence. You don't study, you fail. That's the consequence. So good or bad, everything has a consequence. So when it boils down to it, life is about choices.
Yeah, yeah. And I always talk to people about when we talking about choices, that some people think just because there are some things that you can change right after you make a choice and it don't work out, then you can do something else to kind of fix
Mm-hmm.
it, so to speak, and like that makes it okay, right? And I'm saying no, because it doesn't change the fact that that happened, whatever that was,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the scenario that I like to give is getting a tattoo, right? When you get a tattoo, it's semi-permanent, right? So everybody say, "Oh, it's permanent," but you can get it
Mm-hmm.
removed.
You're
But the
wrong.
thing is, when you get it, there's some changes that have to happen, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your body, your arm, let's say if you get it on your arm, your skin is smooth, it's pure.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get a tattoo, the process of getting it is this needle going in and out your arm, right?
Absolutely.
Not only is it going in and out, but it's also injecting ink into your arm. So there's an experience that your body is going through just to get that tattoo, right?
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
so once you get it, and now you have it, it's like, okay, cool. Then let's say years later, now you want to get rid of it. It's like, all right, I don't want it no more. It was something stupid I got, when I was in 8th grade. So now I want to
Yeah.
get rid of it. So now let's say you take the laser route and
Which
the
ain't
little
free.
laser that kind of burns it off. Now
Yeah.
your body is going through another transaction to remove that tattoo. So once you remove it, it's like, okay, it's gone. It's not really gone. You can't see it anymore, but those experiences has had some experiences to your body, which
Mm-hmm.
was affected in the process of getting it and in the process of removing it. So just
Absolutely.
because you can't see it anymore doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean
Absolutely.
your body haven't been through that transition. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just like the decisions that we make, in everyday life. Some of the decisions that we make, we might not be able to see the consequences of it,
Mm-hmm.
because whatever we did, maybe we was able to fix it on the back end, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
I agree
so
with you.
I'd like to tell people, think about that. Think about especially the parts of the consequences that you can't see. So, because those are sometimes more impactful than the ones that you can see.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree. I agree. You might not see the consequence, especially if it's a future consequence. Like
Mhm.
something you do today affects you 10 years from now. Like you might not see it today, but it's gonna come, it's gonna come to haunt you. I would use the example, let me try to think of something off the top of my head where you might, commit a robbery or, you get an F on your report card, which a felon, right? So you might
Mhm.
not you go to jail, you might think your consequences are over. Okay, I did my 2 years, I've served my time, consequences over. But they discriminate against people with felonies of voting,
Right.
what type of loans they can receive, the types of banks, type of neighborhoods they can live in, what they can and
Mhm.
can't do, type of schools they can go to, type of things. I've done a speaking presentation with multiple speakers with different stories, and one of them is a felon. He killed somebody drunk driving, and he has nieces and nephews that ask him, hey, can you come, Uncle? I'm gonna just say Tommy, Uncle Tommy, can you come chaperone our field trip next Friday? Fellas can't be around kids. So he has to,
Mhm.
give that heartbreaking how Uncle Tommy can't come because, 7 years ago I made a choice that still has consequences to this day. Of course, he wants to be there for his nieces and nephews,
Right.
but consequences are consequences.
Yeah, yeah, and that just goes into the choices that we make. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, watching you, right? Watching you, like I said, I spent the last hour or so watching all your videos. This is
Okay.
amazing. And also, another thing that made me think about
Which
you.
one was your favorite? I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you. Let me ask which one was your
You know
favorite.
what? I tell you which one, and this part is a little bit selfish, but it was the one where you went to Mexico. because I just went to Mexico last year,
A lot of people
and
like
I
that one.
did the one where y'all did the underground cave.
Yes,
And I
sir.
did that, so I just kind of really connected with that because I just did that, so that
Yeah.
was cool. So
Everybody, a
that's
lot of people like
what
that one.
about
It's
you.
one because it's one of my longer ones, like 30 minutes. So people kind of get sucked in.
Mhm.
It's like, how's he gonna do this? How's he gonna do that? You know, they're
Yeah,
like, oh, I get it. Okay. But go ahead,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But even and then even with that one even gave me more of a uh, appreciation, like I was saying, for your team. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Because everything that went into making sure that you were able to enjoy that experience. The jumping off the cliffs and to going under the thing, and watching how all of them work together. To
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you enjoyed it. So definitely, I love that. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, I definitely have to appreciate your team, and as someone who you know has worked in this field to I know about the breaking down of the wheelchair and the picking the people up, and
Yeah.
that whole thing, and it's not for the faint of heart, number one, and then you have to love people, and
Man,
you
you
have
gotta, like I said, you gotta love, like y'all gotta love Fletch. And
man,
other people don't say that. I think not to toot my own horn, but which I never thought about is a lot of people say, man, the fact that you have so many people that are willing to do so much for you contests to
mhm,
the person you are.
right,
To the person I was. Before the car crash. I remember getting suspended in the 8th grade because it was a black dude was getting fighting two white dudes, and I ain't like it. I don't even know what they was fighting about. I ain't like it. I ain't finna jump on him. So and the crazy part is he started running. I'm the one that got in trouble. Anyway, but yeah, so it's just like I try to be a good person, man. I try to stick up for others when they are in need. I try to help others when they in need because you never know when you gonna need help. And boom, I definitely need some help. And that was my motto even before the car crash. It was like, man, Liz, why you late to class helping that lady, man? You don't never know. That could be what if that was your grandmama? What if that was,
right,
what
right.
who needs help and when you gonna need help?
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thing my grandmother used to always say. Someone's today can be your tomorrow. And you never know.
You
You
never
know,
know. I was
and,
literally
and
at
even
practice.
in
Go ahead. Yeah, I was at practice that morning and I in ICU that night. And never would have thought. And I had my whole week planned out. Hey man, I'm
wow,
gonna go to practice today. Got class. I'm gonna hit Buffalo Wild Wings. Come back and wake up, hit class. And I'm gonna take Sharon out on a date Friday night. Like I got this whole week planned, right? And boom, all that's canceled because I got a whole new thing I got to deal with
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. But you've been dealing with it amazingly, right? And like I said, spend the last hour or so watching videos, just like, man, you did more stuff than I did. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching you
Got to,
making
man.
taking off your to-do list, and I'm like, man, that's some of that same stuff on my list, and I ain't did yet.
I'm
You know
trying
what
to,
I
man.
mean? And so just being able to have that mindset and the ability personally to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna let this situation stop me from living. But I'm going to overcome, whatever that
Mhm.
adversity is, and being able to you know, give that inspiration and that talk to others. So what is something that you would advise or, kind of say to someone that was dealing with whatever their issue that they're dealing with in order to, just encourage them, like, you know what, adversity comes to all of us in different forms, you
There you
know,
go. I was just about to say
you
that.
know, yeah, yeah. So go ahead. What would you say to
You,
someone?
you hit the nail right on the head, man. Adversity happens to everybody, but it's not what happens to you that defines you. It's how you respond to it. How you gonna respond when you don't get into that school you always wanted to? How you gonna respond when you make an F on that test? How you gonna respond when you going through that divorce? How you gonna respond when you get fired from your job? Crappy stuff happens to everybody. If you live long enough, if nothing bad's never happened to you, you ain't lived long enough yet.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's not about what happens to you that defines you. It's how you respond to it. You got two options. Our football coach used to say the person who says they can and the person who says they can't are both right. Which one
Mhm.
will you be? And then which one will you be? And that's I kind of have that tough love motivational aspect to my presentations, and because that's what I was fed being an athlete. And now looking at it, the older I get, it might not have been the healthiest form of motivation, but it worked. I remember, football coach. Nobody cares what you're going through. Nobody cares your girlfriend broke up with you. Nobody cares. What are you gonna do about the situation right now? I get what he's trying to do, but the older I get and the mental health going around, it's like, hey, no, somebody does care about you, my guy. But I get it. So basically, it's like, man, look, but it's real in the real world, man. Nobody don't care about your problems. Hey, do you mind if I'm in the bed? We all got shit going on. We all got something going on too. It's just about what you're gonna do. What you're gonna do about it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that like I said, we all dealing with different things. It just comes in different forms. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And so, but one thing I can say, like I said before, you're definitely handling it amazingly. And I know one of your principles, should I say, is making sure that you're living your life to the fullest. Or
Absolutely.
a person is living their life to the fullest. And
Mm-hmm.
I can really say that, just from what I've seen and the little bit that I've seen that you've shared from the videos, and
Mm-hmm.
our day-to-day life is definitely longer than any video that we can actually record. But you've been, living up to that. So tell us a little bit about that mindset and even some of the things that you've been able to do to live
Mm-hmm.
your life to the fullest.
Yeah, you're right. That's definitely one of my mantras, so to speak, man. Life is meant for the living, and what you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? It's like I tell people like all the time, don't just be alive, live. Don't
Mhm.
just have a heartbeat and be alive, and you get into this routine, and it's hard. It's easy to get into the routine. Wake up, go to work, come home, kiss the kids, kiss the wife, go to bed. You blink your eyes 3 times. You've been doing this for 40 years, right? And I knew that's not the type of life I wanted. I knew that's not the life I desired to have. And I have these different quotes that I just fumble around in my head all the time, and I present to audiences is don't live the same year 75 times and call it a life. Don't you if you look up and you've been doing the same stuff for 40 years, it's time to do something different. It's time to do something different. I don't know what that is, what that may be, whether it's a career. I'm not saying leave that good job with that good pension, but I'm just saying if you doing to get promoted, move to a new house, go to a different vacation, go out the country, or do something. Just your life is a shame that you have an opportunity to do everything and anything you've ever desired, and the only thing is stopping you is you. There's some people who can't do the things they wish you were able to do. And I've
Mhm.
taken that motto, and how it all started was I just feel like I never had a choice because I've always been an outgoing individual. I've always wanted more out of every situation. I've always wanted to push the boundaries. Got me in trouble a couple times. Fletcher, don't touch that stove. It's hot. I don't believe you. You just want me to have no fun. Oh, it's hot. You so right. Yeah, and that's the type of thing. It's like you can't do that. Can I not do it, or you just don't want me to do it? Like
Right.
it's always been my motto. And how it started was when my car crash happened. I went to therapy in Atlanta, Georgia for an entire year at the Shepherd Center. Once I did that, I came back to Memphis, enrolled in University of Memphis. But that entire year, I was in therapy. I was on Facebook watching all my peers live out their freshman life, going to spring break, going to homecomings, going to yard shows, all the stuff that I thought I was going to be doing. I'm watching them do it, and I was like, I gotta get with that. I gotta do that. I'm not gonna just sit around and collect this disability check. I came home for 3 months, and I was like, now what? And I was like, you can go back to therapy here and there. You can watch TV. Go watch TV. I'm trying to go back to school. I'm trying to get back out there with the honeys. I'm just trying. I wanted to be. I was 19 at the time, and there wasn't any life for a 19-year-old to just be sitting at home. So I decided to go back to college and do. Hey, remember y'all went to Nashville? I want to go too. Remember y'all went? I want to do that too. What are y'all shows I've been seeing? Where all the pie contests, all the stuff that college kids do, dunk contests and Midnight Madness and all that fun stuff. I want to do all that, and exactly what I did. And I got the reputation of always being around. I joined a fraternity. I was blessed enough to do that. My frat brothers helped me accomplish even more, and I just started traveling and doing stuff I always wanted to do. So I just always willing to push the limit. Life is about limitations, and well, let me say this: the quote, which is what my company is named after, "The sky not the limit, LLC." And what that means is, don't tell me the sky is the limit when there's footprints on the moon. There are no limitations to what you can achieve. There are no limitations to what you can accomplish. The only limitations are the ones you impose on yourself upstairs. I know it's cliche to say if you believe it, you can achieve it, but I'm a firm believer. Hey, if you can think it, you can do it. Eventually, you're gonna do it. You can do it. And I typically end on this, but we gonna keep the show rolling. And I'm say it in the middle is how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? If failure was not an option, what would you do? If you knew you would be successful at whatever came out your mouth, if a genie came and was like, you get to I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a lawyer or whatever. Why aren't you doing that now? Why aren't you doing that now? Everything you've ever wanted in life is on the other side of fear. Stop being afraid to live life. Stop being afraid to grasp what God has in store for you.
Yeah. You should have said that to the end.
I'm passionate, man. I love.
Something else.
I gotta give you something else now.
But listen, man. Before we get out of here, you mentioned "The Sky Is Not the Limit," which is also the name of your book, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
talk to us a little bit about the book, and let us know where we can support you at in order to get that.
Yeah, throughout my speaking career, people always ask, "You got a book?" And I was like, "I'm not really an author. English was never my forte. It wasn't my thing." You got a book as the years progress. You got a book. You got a book. And I'm very goal oriented. I'm very goal driven. I've always had the mantra like, "What's next?" All right, Fletch. That's why school was kind of easy because there was always something to look forward to. You pass third grade, go to the fourth grade, fourth grade to fifth grade, and so on and so forth. You graduate, now you're in college. Freshman, sophomore, I did all that. Graduated college. And it was get the internships, do that. Now get a job. Okay, once you get that good job, now get in 401k. Once you do that, now move out. Now you get a car. All this stuff I had accomplished before the age of 25. So now I'm like, now what I'm supposed to do? And my dad was like, go to work. I said, forever? For the next 40 years? Like, this it? Oh, no, I got to find something else to do, man. So I was like, let me tell you, you've been telling me about this book. Let me look into it. So I ended up getting a ghostwriter to help me formulate my thoughts. We worked on it for a year, came out on Amazon, was Amazon best-selling author within the first 3 days. And it was a fantastic experience, and I love it. It's a great book. It's entitled "The Sky Is Not the Limit," the Fletcher Cleaves story. It talks about the endeavors I've been through from my perspective. My mother has her own chapter. My father has his own chapter. Because as I mentioned, with being an only child, you can imagine getting that phone call that, your son has been in a car crash. And because I was 18, they couldn't disclose medical information over the phone. So my parents told me, it was like, hey, we got a call. My son's been in a car crash. And my dad says, is he okay? And the doctor or the nurse or whoever responded and said, well, unfortunately, because he's 18, we can't disclose medical information over the phone. And then he would then follow, well, is he alive? And they would say, we can't disclose medical information over the phone. So having that type of stress of not knowing, making that drive, an hour and a half drive, not knowing whether your son is alive or dead, just praying, man, I'm praying he's okay. I'm praying he's okay. And, I was coherent enough to call them from the back of the ambulance. And I talked to him. And, my dad was like, once I heard your voice and you were talking normal and coherent, like, hey, Dad, I've been in a car crash. I'm on the way to the hospital. You all right? I'm like, they say I broke my neck. It was like, what else is wrong? I said, I don't know, but I'm in the back. And like, you talking like yourself. You sound like yourself. And he was like, once I heard that, everything else we can be okay. Because number one, he's alive. Number two, he's coherent. He's answering all questions. Anything else we can deal with. Yeah. So there's chapters in the book from their perspective, very, very emotional, very testimonial. So I definitely would say check that out.
Yeah, you might need to start working on a screenplay. Should probably be the next. I
gotta find something. What's next?
Don't get that movie up. You know what I'm saying?
People say that all the time.
Yeah, hey man, listen. I say this right. God is amazing, right? And He sometimes allow other people to see what we don't see in ourselves. And I remember even as a young minister, coming up in the church, the church I was a part of, probably in my 20s as a young minister, probably was about 10 or 12 associate ministers, there with me, and everybody got their own style. They, do how they do it, whatever. And, just in comparison, because I'm so laid back, I'm like, I'm me and kind of put them because they're more charismatic with their delivery and all of that. I'm like, okay, I kind of put them at the front. But not only other preachers and other ministers, but even the congregation, different ones will come to me and be like, no, like you got something. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you don't deliver it the way they deliver, but when you get done, you leave me with something that I can take out the doors.
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing, to leave your audience with something they can take. It's good to be able to feel good and shout in the moment. You know what I'm saying? But when you go out Sunday and you hit Monday, do you have something from Sunday to carry you to the next Sunday?
Exactly. I've gotten those comments from one of the most powerful comments I've ever received. So I worked in IT for about 8 years at AutoZone headquarters here in Memphis, Tennessee. And Texas driving, they wanted me to give like a little presentation in front of the whole headquarters. About, I can't remember, 2,000 people maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so I give the little presentation. It ain't about 10, 12 minutes. It ain't no whole hour. It's just 10, 12 minutes. And the CFO of the company comes down to B1 in the basement where they keep IT in the dungeon. And he, the big boss, he downstairs, like everybody looking, like, where he going? What's going on? And he came to my cubicle and he was like, Fletcher, that was one of the most inspiring 12 minutes of my life. I don't see you sitting behind a desk for the rest of your career. You need to be out in the world sharing your testimony. I don't see you working here for that long. And I'm like, I ain't finna get fired, is it? Like, I ain't want that speech to be that good.
Give me a head start.
Exactly. I ain't want the speech to be that good where you fire me.
Right.
But just for him to say that and come down, it's like, man, you don't, it's like you don't not deserve, you don't belong behind in the cubicle, man. You belong out in the community, in the world. And he came to my fundraiser, he helped me out so much. So that was like, man, that's really, maybe I should be doing this. Maybe I should be in no cubicle. It was always trying to speak. I knew I got little hits here and there, like come to Ohio State here and Florida here, but nothing to make a career out of. So I was like, you know what, next year I'm gonna hit the ground running full force. And then you get kind of complacent with that steady paycheck. IT is a good income, so it's hard to walk away from the 6-figure job at the age of 23, 24. It's such and I'm like, I'm thinking next year I'll get into it. I'm only 24. Next year I'll get into it. I'm only 25. Before I know it, I'm 32, and I'm like, I didn't blink, and 9 years have been by. So it's like, stop playing with your potential, Fletch, and at least give it a try.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you did. I definitely know that your voice is needed. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm definitely proud of you to see the things that you're doing, and especially in this speaker's profession that we share. It's always good to see people that's in it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? With the right inspirations and the right motives behind what you do. And I definitely can gain that from watching you and listening to you. Like, it's all sincere. You know what I mean?
Even when I first started speaking, I didn't even charge. When I first started speaking, I was just happy to share my story. And it was no type of structure. I was just out there just speaking from the heart. And as the snowball effect kept going, I was in Denver, Colorado. I was like, man, look, this is probably when I first was starting to get flown out. I was like, me come speak to my camp. I was like, yeah, sure, you gonna pay for my flight and hotel and food? I'm there. Like, I'm just excited. I'm probably like 26 at the time. I'm just excited to be traveling. Right. And another speaker was there, and he was like, man, he watched me speak. He was speaking the next day, but he came to my speech. He heard me, man. It was fantastic, man. You need to be all across the country. That was a great job. How much do you charge? I don't charge nothing. What are you talking about? You came up here for free? I was like, yeah. It was like, Fletcher, are you out your mind? I was like, why do you say that? He was like, man, look, you got an ESPN commercial. You done been on national TV twice. You've spoken at Ohio State headquarters. Look at your speaking resume. And I was like, I just do it because I like to do it. I was like, man, is you at your mind? I was like, so what do you think I should be charging? He was like, at least $6,000. I said, dollars? I'm out here for free hotels.
Right.
I got this reevaluate. Something ain't right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He said, I'm out here at a Motel 6 and a Happy Meal. What we talking about?
And I remember the first time I was so nervous. Ohio State called me and was like, we want you to come speak at an event we're having up here. And it was like, of course, we'll pay for your travel. We'll pay for your food. It was like, how much is your honorarium? I was like, here you go, Fletch. Here go your chance to get that money. And I was so scared to say $1,000. I was like, 1,000? He was like, you sure? I was like, I thought it was like, are you sure? Like, my bad, 500. Like, oops. He was like, 1,000? Yeah, absolutely. He paid me that day.
I'm sure. And you know what? since I've been in this thing, with the speaking, and that was one of the things that we learned in our training. Like, if they agree to it too fast, you're not charging enough. Exactly. You know what I mean? Because they know how much they supposed to be paying. they're not gonna tell you that. They'll probably tell you after the fact. You know what I mean? But they know how much a speaker costs, and a good speaker, and especially with your resume, like you said, they know how much they should be paying you to come. And of course, like I said, they're not gonna tell you, but when they say yes right away, like yeah, okay, next person is going up.
Yeah,
the price is going up.
When he sent me that money on PayPal that day, I said he paid me on his personal account. Here, bye. Right. Take this. Come on, see you in 2 weeks.
He didn't even take it to the overhead. He's just like, yeah, I got that.
He probably, what my homeboy told me, he said he probably told you charged 10,000. He probably kept the money or something, I was like, nah,
could very well.
He sent me that money that day. I said, oh, I was excited to get it. I said, man, I remember calling my look. Y'all believe they gonna pay for my flight, and because my disability, I can't travel with myself. So I need 2 flights, one for me, one for my brother and my companion. 2 flights, a hotel room, and they gonna pay for my food and give me $1,000. Oh yeah, I'm straight. But that's just a 26-year-old kid just happy to be just excited. But now, 32, 33 is a little different now, resume the price. But they say yesterday's price is not today's price.
Hey, definitely not. Definitely not.
And I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. I love connecting with people like yourself and looking out in the crowd and seeing the engagement on people's faces. Some people crying, some people laughing. And just that's the type of speaker I am. I'm a very high energy person. You're gonna laugh, you might cry, you're gonna think about what you're doing. That's the type of I love it. I love what I do.
Yeah. And it shows. It definitely shows. Again, Fletcher, I want to say thank you for being on. I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us with something, a word of inspiration. And then also where we can find you on social media and things like that, and definitely things that we can help support you with. I know you got a nonprofit, I think, and some other things. So just I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that because I want you to have the last word. So in the meantime, to my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure that you guys are checking us out. Check us out on our website, dealhealfulfill.org, dealhealfulfill.org. Make sure you check us out on our website, and you can even check out to see about booking me to come out as a speaker, as well as information about the podcast, both podcasts. And remember, we got 2 podcasts now, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And also we have workshops and things that's going on. So you can go to dealhealfulfill.org to find out more information about what we got going on. And also with our ebooks, you can go to ebooksbyejames.com. I made it real simple, ebooksbyejames.com to check out the ebooks that we have available, including one of our newest ebooks, which is Start Your Podcast Now in Only 3 Steps. Right? Start your own podcast in 3 steps. So I know you're listening to podcasts and you're probably saying, I think I can do that, but I don't know where to start. Go to ebooksbyejames.com, get the ebook for Start Your Podcast Now in Only 3 Steps. And start your podcast. Also, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to connect with a organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And one of the things that we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year to talk about forgiveness. We talk about what it is, what it's not, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self, that whole thing. And so it's free, it's virtual. You can go to forgivenessmission.com to register, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Mission on Eventbrite to register for our free virtual workshops. So whenever you're hearing this, either one just passed or one is coming up, right? And so make sure you go to forgivenessmission.com to check us out and be a part of our free virtual workshops that we have every quarter of the year. Last but not least, I told you guys that I would tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast. You can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. What does that mean? That means you must first subscribe to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. After you've done those three things, you text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is ongoing, and once you're in, you're always in. You don't never have to re-up Again, once your name is in, you always have the possibility to win that $100, and it's random. So at any time, any day, I can pull a name, and you could be our next $100 winner. So again, thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast. And Mr. Fletcher, again, let me say, definitely thank you again for being on. Thank you for the light that you shine in this world, and sharing your voice with the world. And I'll let you have the last word. So the floor is yours.
Okay, the pressure. I like it. I've talked about this entire podcast about pushing limits and how can we say the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon. And when in regards to limit, I read this quote one time that said, a wise man, a smart man knows his limits. A wise man knows he has none. Understand that whatever you want in life, whatever you want to achieve, accomplish, there are no limitations to what you can achieve. There are no limitations to what you do. As long as you stay positive and think positivity, you will accomplish it. And when it comes to speaking positive, I want you all to do three things, or one thing 3 times. Just when you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror after you wash your face, brush your teeth while you're doing that whole, just say, today going to be a good day. Today going to be a good day. Today going to be a good day. And see how that, your life transitions, because it definitely helps me starting my day off with positivity. If you start your day off with positivity, things will go great. And if you always have negative thoughts in your mind, how do you have space for positivity? If you're always thinking about the problem, how do you make space in your mind for the solution? And what that means is, like, even that you've identified the problem, don't dwell on it. Start working on a solution. The negative thing that you keep thinking about has happened. Let's start thinking about something positive. Just keep positivity around in your life and watch your life ascend.
All right, we can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in one more time to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill. So until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.